Good evening, I'm Abdullah Hussein. Welcome to Sudan in a Week on Al-Balad News. This week's roundup brings you the latest developments and headlines from Sudan. Sovereign Council Chairman Abdel Fattah al-Burhan met with the UN Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed in a high-level discussion on current challenges facing Sudan. The meeting was attended by Foreign Minister Hussein Awad and UN Special Envoy Ramtani al-Amamra. In a statement, the Foreign Minister announced that Sovereign Council Chairman and Army Commander Abdel Fattah al-Burhan is scheduled to hold talks with the Chinese President and several African leaders next week. Al-Burhan will also participate in the China-Africa Cooperation Forum in Beijing and oversee a business conference on the sidelines of the summit. In a recent statement, Sovereign Council Chairman Abdel Fattah al-Burhan reiterated that the military will not lay down its arms until the rebellion is fully quashed. Al-Burhan emphasized that there will be no coexistence, forgiveness, or negotiation with the rebels. The Sudanese government has dispatched a technical team to address congestion at the Ashket and Argain border crossings. This initiative is aimed at improving the flow of goods and easing the situation for the citizens. The Sovereign Council convened a full session with all members to discuss the humanitarian impact of recent floods and heavy rains across the country. The meeting focused on strategies to mitigate the ongoing crisis. In a recent move, the Sudanese government has announced new measures and a review of legislation aimed at regulating the presence of foreigners in the country. The action follows allegations of collaboration between some foreign nationals and the rapid support forces. Sudanese Air Force jets conducted targeted airstrikes on militia forces led by Habib Hareka in Sha'riya and Sunet regions. The operation resulted in the neutralization of 97 rebels and the destruction of 8 combat vehicles. Multiple reports from Sudan indicate that over 100,000 civilians have been kidnapped and detained in secret prisons by the RSF across multiple states. These individuals are reportedly enduring severe conditions, including torture, malnutrition, and lack of medical care, with thousands having allegedly perished. Violations by the RSF continue to escalate, with reports of widespread abuse against civilians of all ethnicities and nationals of neighboring countries. These violations include torture, humiliation, and extrajudicial killings under the pretext of alleged affiliation or support for the Sudanese armed forces. The governor of the northern state reported that recent floods have affected 14,000 families and caused the complete or partial destruction of 10,000 homes. An aid convoy en route from Adabba in the northern state was ambushed and completely looted by the RSF militias near Mandaraba in Jabrat al-Sheikh, North Kordofan. White Nile state authorities have announced the successful cultivation of 1.5 million acres during the summer farming season. Millet has witnessed 3 consecutive days of intense fighting between internal RSF factions. The clashes have resulted in widespread looting of stores and homes, tribal killings, and reports of sexual violence against women. The Northern State Ministry of Health has confirmed an outbreak of bacterial skin infections in several localities, with 105 cases reported in Dongola, 110 cases in Al-Bergeg, and 45 cases in Dalagu. The Bani Halba tribe has announced the mobilization of 10,000 fighters to support the Sudanese armed forces in their ongoing battle against the RSF. RSF militias reportedly kidnapped Dr. Ibrahim Abdullah, a Sudanese university lecturer, 3 days ago. His current whereabouts and condition remain unknown. The Sudan Doctors Network reports that RSF militias have looted medical equipment from police and general hospitals in Sinnar. The network condemned these acts as violations of basic human rights, further exacerbating the health crisis in the country. U.S. Special Envoy to Sudan Tom Perriello has warned that the ongoing crisis in Sudan could lead to the country's dissolution. Perriello criticized the international community for failing to recognize the severity of the situation. Sudan's Minister of Higher Education and Scientific Research, Professor Mohammed Hassan Dahab, has announced the restoration of the Sudanese universities network previously destroyed by the RSF militias. The Federal Emergency Operations Center has reported 1,223 cases of cholera across the country. With 48 deaths recorded, isolation centers have been established in 10 states affected by the rainy season. Sudanese army leadership has referred several officers, including Brigadier General Uthman Siraj, to an investigation following RSF's takeover of the 17th Division in Sinnar. After 500 days of fighting, displacement statistics reveal that Sudan keeps on facing the world's largest displacement crisis, with nearly 7.9 million internally displaced persons and approximately 2.2 million refugees crossing into neighboring countries. Widespread criticism and appeals for help keeps emerging after 500 days of RSF violence against the Sudanese people. The militias have been accused of discrediting and using mosques as military bases and indiscriminately shelling mosques, churches, and residential areas. Several villages in northern Qadari have been subjected to continuous and systematic shelling by the RSF militias. The attacks have resulted in the death of one woman and injuries to dozens who have been transferred to near hospitals for treatment. That's it for this week's top stories. Thank you for watching and see you next Friday on Al-Balad News. Have a great weekend.